That is not a Budd RDC. I got a tip that today and tomorrow they were going to run their Budd RDCs all day, and I was like super excited to finally ride in a Budd and also have a video of one. That's the Colorado rail car. So here I was actually about to say screw it and ride this sucker, but turns out the next train is actually the Budd, and apparently it's due in like 20 minutes. So we're still riding a Budd today. But yeah, this is really cool. And yeah, they have two different jobs. So you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a Pacific and Western is the operator who does it, which is Guinness in Wyoming. $70 tax, basically it's like a $70 tax subsidy per individual person who rides the West. That's how expensive it is to run. And that's also how little people ride it. But we're gonna wait out this 20 minutes or so for the Budd RDC to come in and explore that, because that's a piece of rail history that I don't want to miss out on. I don't think you guys either. And also, this is actually surprisingly loud and idle. It's a cool little Pacific and Western branded teddy. That's super cool. It's also knitted as well. Really old, really big piece of rail history. Not as loud as the Colorado rail car, which I find so funny. It's just too cool though. Look at the little bits of wear and tear from its age. That is super cool. A bit of a dent up there. Pool noodles, which I find to be always fun, because it doesn't matter how old of an idea you have or how old of tech you have, you use pool noodles. Yeah, it just says what it is. Brake cutout. It's still kind of cool though. See the changes of how they did things. Back further back. You get the old cap exhausts too, which is super cool. So you get to see them like flapping around. The branding of the oil down here, I find to be very funny. Like a weird little detail you wouldn't necessarily notice otherwise. Oops. Get the demarcation. Don't know if they do that way anymore though. I don't think they do. But yeah. Driving cabs are cool because they're such a relic these days, almost anywhere in the world. Although I have seen they're starting to make a bit of a comeback in terms of popularity by transit services, so it's just super neat. This is a train that's probably about as old as my mom is, like 60 years. Incredible.
Pretty old, pretty historic, but they can still run. This is like one of the very few places where you can see that active service. And it's really remarkable that West actually does use these, but only used in the DMUs, the newer ones, are not service or maintenance or repairs.
This is too cool. Could have a drop-down table of some kind. That's interesting. There's a hole where something was before. I'm like barely short enough to fit under that. Kind of this whole ridge. Oh, look at that. It's like from my head to this probably maybe a half a foot, if that. Interesting. The older G logo. It's kind of cool. Clarksdale, Mississippi. So this was originally with Metro. That's interesting. Oh man, it's actually really cool. One really fun thing about being on something that's this old is you can literally smell its age. It's so cool. It smells like almost anything else its age. I remember when I was still in preschool, I went to an old school that no longer exists in Hillsborough called B.J. Thomas. It literally smelled like almost identical to this. It's actually a really good scent to me. It's really cool. You can tell that these are the original intent when they designed them were for subway cars. Like, just everything about them, outside and in. Incredible piece of rail history. Yeah. But if I try to exit normally, I can't because I'm blocked by my hand. That's great.
think that's the end of the video there. Because now we're turning away from the main line and into the transit center.
I'm going to be recording it all the way until we get into the transit center.
You know, I was here one time and I saw this long lumber train pass through here.
Yeah. When I was a lot younger, like over a decade ago, I got stuck right here at the intersection. And there was like a multi-mile long cargo train. And it was crawling at probably, and then it would stop and it would reverse a ways and it would stop and then it would go forward and then it would keep repeating that like a bunch of times. And it pissed so many people off. It's like, why are you just like sitting in the middle of the road going back and forth?
Well, I think they were trying to let other trains pass through, or possibly a car on the tracks or something like that, or switching cars to the Y, because sometimes they use the Y for some rail cars to be switched.
They probably were switching off certain cars on their train, their